Hello everybody! If you want all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 869, The Filing Cabinet, Advanced. Martin Hale had worked in the records department of a large shipping company for nearly 20 years. His office was located in the basement of a modern office block, far below the busy meeting rooms and executive suites where important decisions were made. Most people considered records management dull. Martin disagreed. He believed that every document told a story. Contracts revealed ambitions. Reports exposed mistakes. Letters captured moments that might otherwise be forgotten. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, while reorganizing a row of steel filing cabinets, Martin discovered something unusual. A thin brown folder had slipped behind one of the drawers. It was covered with dust and carried no label. Curious, he opened it. Inside were several typed pages dated 27 years earlier. The documents described a business agreement between the company and a small engineering firm that no longer existed. At first, the paper seemed ordinary. Then Martin noticed a signature at the bottom of one page. The signature belonged to Gerald Morton, the company's founder. That was strange. Gerald Morton had publicly claimed that he had never been involved in the project mentioned in the documents. In fact, during a famous legal dispute years earlier, he had denied any connection to it. Martin read the papers again. The agreement was genuine, the dates matched, the signatures appeared authentic. He felt a growing sense of unease. The legal dispute had ended decades ago, but it had destroyed the reputation of several people. One engineer had lost his business, another had been accused of dishonesty. If these papers were authentic, they suggested that important evidence had never been presented. Martin carefully placed the documents back into the folder. For the rest of the afternoon, he struggled to concentrate. The discovery kept returning to his mind. He wondered whether the documents had been hidden deliberately or simply misplaced during an office relocation many years earlier. That evening, after most employees had left, Martin searched the company archive database. He found references to the engineering project, but no mention of the folder. The omission made him even more curious. Over the next few days, he investigated further. He reviewed old correspondence, scanned digital records, and examined storage inventories. Piece by piece, a picture began to emerge. The project had suffered serious technical failures. When problems appeared, responsibility had become the subject of bitter arguments. Eventually, blame had fallen almost entirely upon the engineering firm. Yet several internal reports suggested that company executives had ignored repeated warnings before approving the project. Martin realized that the newly discovered folder supported those reports. The evidence did not completely change history, but it certainly changed parts of it. He faced a difficult decision. The events had occurred long before he joined the company. Many of the individuals involved had retired. Some had died. Revealing the documents could create embarrassment and attract unwanted publicity. On the other hand, hiding them felt wrong. After a sleepless night, Martin arranged a meeting with the company's current chief executive. The executive listened carefully as Martin explained his discovery. When he finished, silence filled the room. Finally, the executive leaned back in his chair. "Are you certain these documents are authentic?" he asked. "I believe they are," Martin replied, "but they should be independently verified." The executive nodded slowly. "They will be." Over the following months, legal experts and historians examined the material. Their investigation confirmed that the documents were genuine. The company released a public statement acknowledging historical errors in its handling of the project. It also issued a formal apology to the surviving members of the engineering firm's leadership team. The announcement attracted national attention. Several newspapers published articles about the case. Former employees gave interviews. Historians praised the company's willingness to correct the record. One autumn morning, nearly a year after finding the folder, Martin received a letter. It came from the daughter of the engineer whose reputation had suffered during the dispute. She explained that her father had spent the final years of his life insisting that he had been unfairly blamed. Few people had believed him. Now, thanks to the evidence that Martin had uncovered, his name had finally been cleared. At the end of the letter, she wrote a simple sentence. "Truth arrived later than we hoped, but it arrived." Martin read the words several times. Then he placed the letter into a new folder and found it carefully among the company records. Unlike the forgotten documents he had discovered, this folder carried a clear label. It read, "Project Resolution." Years later, when Martin retired, the folder remained exactly where he had placed it. Future employees could find it easily and understand what had happened. The story was complete. The evidence had been examined, the mistakes had been acknowledged, and an innocent man's reputation had been restored. For Martin, that was enough. If you learned a new word today, please make sure to subscribe so you can practice again next time. Vocabulary notes. Unease, meaning a feeling of worry, discomfort or anxiety, often when something does not seem right. Example, he felt a growing sense of unease. In the story, Martin becomes uncomfortable after discovering documents that appear to contradict the official version of past events. Similar words: concern, anxiety, discomfort, apprehension, worry. Extra example: as the interview panel continued whispering to each other, she felt a sense of unease. Omission, meaning something that has been left out, either deliberately or by accident. Example, the omission made him even more curious. Martin discovers that the folder is not mentioned in the archive database, and this absence raises further questions. Similar words: exclusion, absence, oversight, neglect, gap. Extra example, the omission of several important facts made the report incomplete. Acknowledging, meaning accepting, recognizing or admitting that something is true or exists. Example, the company released a public statement acknowledging historical errors. The company formally admits that mistakes were made in the past. Similar words: admitting, recognizing, accepting, conceding, confirming. Extra example, the manager sent an email acknowledging the team's hard work during the project. Reputation, meaning the opinion that people have about a person's character, abilities, or behavior. Example, one engineer had lost his business. Later, the story explains that his reputation had suffered because many people believed he was responsible for the failed project. Similar words: standing, status, image, prestige, good name. Extra example, the restaurant built a strong reputation for excellent customer service. Surviving, meaning still living or continuing to exist after a difficult event or the passage of time. Example, it also issued a formal apology to the surviving members of the engineering firm's leadership team. These were the people who were still alive many years after the original events. Similar words: remaining, living, existing, enduring, continuing. Extra example, only a few surviving photographs showed what the town looked like a century ago. Story written by ChatGPT. Image created by onemin.ai. To read, see all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.